everyone, it's Casey. Today I want to make another hair dyeing video. I was so inspired by the last video I made that I thought, I don't understand why it never occurred to me before to make dolls with custom dyed hair. It's very easy to buy white scalps, and there's a lot of great colors to dye them. So I bought a range of colors, and I'm considering that if this goes well, I might even offer dyed scalps in my shop. So we're going to practice with these two that I have. I ended up getting really curly ones. I wish I would have got a more straight one, but I think it will be interesting to see. So we're going to practice mixing a couple colors and see how they come out. So let's do it. So what I'm going to do first is, this is the scalp, and I want to dye it brown on the top and a violet purple on the bottom. The only thing I'm not sure about is the way that the scalp is down at where the plugs are, is it's white. And I don't know if the dye will dye that white or if it will be white when we're done, which won't look very good with brown. So the practice is going to be getting that all the way down to the scalp, that color. And I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that. My thought is that I'm going to dip it like this and hold the ends up and then rinse it out and then do the ends the other color. So this will be kind of an experiment. You guys will get to follow along. So you might hear I have some water boiling, and it's always kind of better to use this dye with hot water. It doesn't necessarily need to be boiling, so I'm just heating it up. And we're going to start with the brown. This is dark brown RIT dye. It's pretty much a universal dye. I usually try to shake it up really well. So let's put our hot water in here. We don't want it too hot. I don't think you're going to need too much water or too much dye for such a small scale. So let's pour some dye in. Because it's liquid dye, you don't really have to worry too much about mixing it up. It will probably be fine, but if not, you can mix it with a spoon or something just to make sure it's saturated the water. And then, like I said, what we're going to do, my thought is to hold on to this part and dunk this part. I don't think we want to dye too much around the scalp, just because the doll is not going to be a tan doll. So this is going to take some strategy to make sure that we get all the hair but not the scalp. So let's try doing that. And also without burning our hand. And we want to get the back as well. So it's getting a lot of the top of the hair, but it's not really soaking in there because this hair is so thick. So you really got to get it down in there. You can see, I'm going to rinse off the inside because we got a little bit on the inside. Keep doing it. It looks like it's doing kind of a weird grayish color. And it's pretty much impossible not to get it down in there, so we're just going to go for it. Hopefully it doesn't dye the scalp. And I'm getting a little bit of it down here, but that should be okay. And let's see, how's it looking on all sides? All right, let's rinse it and see. I want you to be able to see what it's looking like. It's turning it kind of a greenish color. I'm not sure why. Maybe because it's just not saturated enough. But it's an experiment, like I said, so it's actually kind of a cool green color. I might change the other color that we're going to use. Let's see. So it came out this kind of funky green color, and it did not dye the white paint in there, so that's interesting. Let's bring it out. So probably what's going to happen is doing colors that are really dark might not work so well. Let's dunk it again in there for a little while and see if we can get any more saturated brown. And then we'll try another color. So it looks like it's going to be this green color, and I actually kind of like it. So I think we'll go ahead with the violet. I think it would still look really cool with this green. So what I'm going to do is dump out this brown dye. And use the same bowl. So let's use the rest of the hot water, because I still had some hot water, and we will dye the rest of it this violet. Maybe we'll use a little bit less water. And I'm using violet, same type of dye. Pour some in there. And let's do the rest. So I'm just going to dunk this in. So it looks like this color is taking much better. Although, like I said, I still kind of like the green, and I think it's going to look really cool with this violet. So, happy accident. I'm just sort of pushing down the white that's in the middle there, making sure it's getting all the hair. All right, let's rinse out the violet, see what we got. Right, let's make sure we've got everything. That looks really cool, I think. Comb it out and see what we have. I think it's really cool. I really want to experiment with this, so I'm probably going to get a whole bunch more white scalps, because I really think it would add to a custom doll to have basically custom hair. Seems to be a super simple way to do it. So and we'll put it on a towel and we'll come back and see what it looks like once it's dry. Also make sure all the dye is out, because I see that there's some coming out. Alright, so I'm going to let it dry and we'll take a look at it and see what it looks like when it's done. Okay everyone, so this is what the scalp looks like now that it's dry. I think it's really, really pretty. I just love it, even though this color was brown and that's what I intended it to be. It came out this green, which was actually kind of a happy accident because I think it's gorgeous with the purple. So the one thing though, if you remember, the scalp was white, and so normally when you reroot a scalp for Blythe, you remove the paint on the scalp. So the scalp is always painted the color of the hair, and so when you do a reroot, you take all the hair out and then you remove that paint and then paint it again whatever color your new scalp was going to be. But because this scalp was white and we dyed it, that paint did not get removed and did not get colored. So it doesn't look very well that you can see the white through the hair. So I've been trying to think of a way to solve the problem, and what I decided to do was try to paint the scalp through the hair. So you might notice that you can see the white peeking through over here. Well, the reason you can't on this side is because I have begun to paint in there. So you can see it peeking through. I found some very similar colors at the craft store. I'm mixing a turquoise and a gray to get this kind of greenish color. But it's very tedious because I'm having to, and I'm going to show you in a minute the process, but I'm having to separate and try to get all the hairs away, and then use a very thin brush to get in there and paint. It's taking quite a long time because it's taking more than one layer to cover that white. The paint that comes on these scalps is kind of like a glossy color. It doesn't cover very well. So I don't know if there's a better way to do this. I'm reaching out to you guys to see if you have any better ideas. My other thought was maybe trying to process the white scalp prior to dyeing it, like putting some paint remover in there and trying to get rid of the white first, because I think a flesh tone would at least be better than white poking through. Or it might just be that painting is part of creating these scalps. So I don't know, but it adds quite a long process to making it. But I'm hoping that it's going to look really good in the end. So if I shake it off and sort of hold the scalp up, you can definitely see that you do not see white poking through on this side because I painted it, but you can definitely see it on this side. So you can see where I've already done some work. And so let's do it a little bit together so you can see what I'm doing. And then I'm going to go ahead and continue painting it and then show you when it's completely done. So what I've found the best way to do it is to start with a row. So separating the hair as best you can on the row and then painting all that white. It's not too big of a deal if you get some on the hair as long as it's pretty close to the scalp. And this little brush goes kind of right between there, which is really nice. And then I continue to separate each row. Some of the rows are closer together than others, so it's not as easy on some of the rows. And as you can see, this is what it looks like when you put on the first layer of paint. It does not look great, but you'll probably do, I think I'm doing about 3 layers. as you get closer to the bottom of the scalp, the plugs get closer together, so you might not be able to get all the way down to the very edge, but because the plugs are closer together, it's not as important. The places where it's going to be most important is where the hair is far apart, because that's where you'll really be able to see that white poking through. But I'm kind of a perfectionist, so I will probably get in there as far down as I possibly can. I was hoping to sell some custom dyed scalps, but I'm kind of rethinking it if it requires painting them all like this. So I think I might do some multicolor ones that are white, that stay white at the top. Maybe do just the ends purple. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. Not that I couldn't do this for selling them, but it's a lot of time. So you can already see that that looks a lot better. You can still see quite a lot of white poking through though. So what I've been doing is kind of doing one layer like this and letting it dry really well, and then coming back and doing the next layer. It looks much better on the second and third layer than it does right now. So let's look over in the area that I've already worked on. So you can see down in there that I've worked in this area a little bit, but this would be probably the second layer. And as we put it on there, it definitely starts to cover it up much better. So you can see that that's already looking a lot better. So I'm going to go ahead and just keep working on it, and when I get it done, I will show you what the final product looks like. So I have finally finished this scalp, and I'm really pleased with the results. I decided to just put it on a doll really quick to kind of see what it would look like. I haven't decided. I think I'm going to try to sell this scalp. But if it doesn't sell, I might use it on my next doll, but I would probably trim it a little bit. But if you're interested in it, I'm going to list it in my shop probably in the next few minutes. So, but I wanted to tell you quickly, so I did go through and paint the scalp. It's definitely not perfect, but the results came out much better than I thought they would. And I decided just to stop because I feel like you could get really obsessive about it, and it really just needs to be so that you know, if the scalp peeks out at all while you're posing your doll, that it's not drastic, and it's not, unless you really dig in there and look around. You know, it's pretty good, and you could probably keep going and make it, you know, even more exact. But I'm really happy with it. I didn't know if painting it down in there would work, but it definitely did. You can see my paint in there. So I'm really happy, and I'm hoping to do more scalps like this, possibly for sale and just possibly for myself, because I really like the idea of having a custom dyed scalp on a custom doll. And I'm really looking forward to experimenting with other colors, because as you remember, this was brown and it came out this really cool green, so I don't know what the other colors might come out as. So anyway, I'm taking photos of her to list the scalp in the shop, and if you're interested, check it out. I'll put a link below to my shop. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.